mental health activity known as VENT. Vent. A vertical of Richie Knows. Community-driven mental health solutions. By gamers, for gamers. Destigmatizing mental health. It's your brain. Delete the dread from your head. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Mental health affects us all. We are Vent. No judgment. No judgment. We got ya.
My name is Jonathan Bautista.
My name is Kitty. I go by Kitty Kaboom online.
I'm Stefan Lopezenski.
Oliver Boone.
Micah Greenleaf.
Ryder Davis.
My name is Kim.
Elijah.
Amanda.
Devonta. Derek.
Cheyenne.
Alan.
Andrew Forbes.
My name is Sherry Nan.
And I have struggled with mental health.
My earliest notions of paranoia came up in high school.
My anger, my frustration.
It finally starts chipping away at you to one point where you do get kind of down. I suffer with anxiety currently. Loneliness.
Isolation.
Delusions.
Bullying.
Sadness. Fear.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I've been struggling with depression my whole life.
Still didn't know how to handle it.
When you get under that, it's really hard to get out of it.
Depression is like a shadow. And some days there might be overcast, or you might not be able to see your shadow, and you think that your depression is gone. And then when the sun comes back out, your shadow's right there, and it always will be with you.
I feel like gaming is a good way to get yourself out of that.
Just talking to them and finding peers that had similar mentality and similar interests.
It's very warm and very welcoming.
That was a huge help.
I'm so happy like I have a community.
You know, I think that that's like the best form of therapy, just talking to
You talk it all out, and it really helps. It really does.
Introducing Vent, a safe, supportive space from Richie Knows. We connect gamers. Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to tonight's episode of Vent Support Chats. And Vent is your virtual mental health spa. This is all about gamers helping gamers, where we address the issues that are affecting not only gamers, but the friends of gamers, the families of gamers, the people that love gamers. This is an open, inclusive space. It's where there's no judgment. We want to have create a space where people can just be open and talk about these issues that are affecting them. And tonight, we're going to deal with something that is on everybody's mind. It's been on everybody's mind for well over a year. And the topic for tonight's discussion is the pandemic and how it affects people's mental health. Now, at Vent, it's really important that we get your feedback, because we're basically in uncharted waters here. We're trying something that's never been done. And when we say that this is community-driven mental health solutions, we mean it. The community is you, is the gamers. We are going to take the lead from you. You're going to tell us when we're doing something right, when we're doing something wrong. You're going to give us some suggestions. This is a partnership that we have with you. So I invite you to please send your comments, send your suggestions, send your questions to us, and we'll try to address as many of them as we can. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Robert Clotworthy. You may recognize my voice as Jim Raynor in StarCraft. And during the pandemic, a lot of gamers found themselves spending even more time playing games. And many others discovered that the world of gaming was a way that they would spend their time during lockdowns and quarantines. And so what we like to do with Vent is we like, especially when it's support chats, is bring on gamers to share with us their experiences. And we're really lucky tonight, because not only are these two people serious gamers, but they're also members of the Vent Richie Knows team. And you'll find out that not only are they eloquent, well-informed, but they're compassionate. They care, they are empathetic, and we're all here for one purpose, and that's to help people. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first member of the Vent team, a serious gamer. He is, let me read his little bio here. He's a 34-year-old game developer in the Philly area. He's been a guest on our Vent Journeys program. He was on our very first program. And he's taught game development at the University of Connecticut, where he earned his master's degree in game development. And he's currently working on developing a hybrid physical-digital tabletop games. So please welcome Stefan Lopezenski. Hey, Stefan, how are you doing?
Good, good.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on tonight's episode and sharing a few of your insights with us. But I'd also like to have in the conversation another member of the Vent team. Now, this guy, normally he avoids being in front of the camera. He is our technical guru, the guy that puts it all together, makes these shows work. So it's funny that even on the night that he has off, he's working. He's a self-proclaimed old school gamer with gaming roots reaching back to the early 1980s. During his youth, video games enabled him to express himself and speak a common language with others in building communities and helping people. After he worked with General Dynamics and DirecTV in software engineering, he now owns an event production, gaming tournament, and live stream company called Level Up. And along with that comes with a deep understanding of the mental issues that are happening within the gaming community. He's had his own struggles, and he's going to open up about those. So please welcome to the show, Jimmy Wynn.
Hey.
That's a
Greetings,
great name.
Gentlemen.
Great
I
name
know,
for
right?
a gamer, man.
Always winning, right?
Always winning. So I guess the first thing we want to establish right off the bat is everybody's street cred. So Stefan, what games do you play?
I mean, I play pretty much anything and everything. Some of the games that I made a list for are ones that kind of got me through the pandemic and through grad school. So when the pandemic started last year, I was finishing up my grad work. So a lot of games, they were based on like exploration or farming or relaxing, and also puzzle games. So I'm just gonna name some games and suggestions.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get right back to it. But I also want to say, Jimmy, give us your street creds, and you're out there. What games do you play?
Of course, Street Fighter is one of them, but Tetris, Final Fantasy, God of War, just to name those. Metal Gear Solid, those are my top genres and franchises.
Okay. Now, Stefan, you did some research, and you found games that. Well, first, let me ask you this question. I want to know, before we talk about those games specifically, I want to know what your life was like pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic or after the lockdown. How have things changed for you?
Some have stayed the same, and some have changed dramatically. So at the start of the pandemic, I was still in grad school doing work on physical digital hybrid games. And it's kind of hard to meet up and actually play board games with people when there's a pandemic and you're in lockdown. So that was a huge change. But luckily, I had actually set up my classes that I was teaching with Discord very early on. So while all the other teachers were scrambling around trying to figure out how to go digital, we were pretty much there. So it was pretty simple. I'm someone who's always been in the digital space, and most of the transition was easy, but there's always some growing pains.
Yeah. Now, you talked about some games that helped you get through this, that you might be able to advise some other gamers out there to try to kind of get a better grip on what it is that we're all dealing with. So maybe you can kind of delve into that a little bit and tell us about these games.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I looked back on my Steam list on the games I was playing around this time last year, and kind of looked through the ones that really stood out. I'm a PC gamer primarily, so these are all games you can find on Steam or any other digital platform. Most of them are very relaxing, kind of staying in your own mind space. So the first one is Outer Wilds. It's a great exploration game. Terraria and Starbound are really good. And so the one that I really went to for exploration was No Man's Sky. It's come a long, long way from where it first was. Highly recommend it now. It's actually a good exploration game. Some other quick games, Stardew Valley is really good, relaxing. Sayonara Wild Hearts. And then for some last few suggestions for puzzle games, I'd recommend Recursed, which is a small little indie game. Very good. And then probably one of my favorite puzzle games of all time. I've played a lot of puzzle games. Baba Is You. Incredibly good logic game. Jimmy, you've played Baba Is You?
My one of my staff members actually introduced me to that game, and I'm like, this game, how do you play this? And it took me a little bit to get it, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it starts off pretty simple, and by the end, it is so complex and so meta. It's just pure bliss to me.
Now, Jimmy, what was your life pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? What changes did you experience or see?
Yeah, so pre-pandemic, I was holding down two jobs, right? My job at DirecTV, and then also Level Up doing my event production. So I was literally killing myself every week with like 60-hour weeks doing both things at the same time. And funny enough, right before pandemic happens, DirecTV, who was bought out by AT&T at that time, decided to do another wave of layoffs, and I was on the chopping block. So that really, really hurt. But I found it as a blessing in disguise, because I really needed a break from doing two jobs. So I decided to focus more on the Level Up stuff. And during pandemic, everyone decided to figure out, how do we go to the online space, as Stefan mentioned. And it was kind of seamless in a way that we already did online fighting game events for the fighting community. And we did that for several years. While everyone was trying to catch up to get to that point, we were already doing it. And at that time, we continued doing our weekly events, allowed people to enter online, have like 6 or 7 games people can compete in weekly. And that was their getaway, right? That was our service to them to carry on that torch. Like, hey, look, guys, I know it's a dark time, but here's the light at the end of the tunnel. We keep following it.
Yeah, it's like, we're all searching for some kind of normalcy. And that's something that you were offering to people. Just a little touchstone of what life should be, could be, was, might be again. I mean, all of the above, right?
Yep. Just keeping hope alive, right? Because we every week, every day, we didn't know what was going to happen. Are we going to stay like this for longer? And as long as people had some sort of sense of, oh, I can still compete every week, I can still see my friends in a digital sense and still have a conversation, it helped keep the morale high. And that's what we want to do. So similar to how Stefan was doing with his classes, having that space and having that ready just in case, we did the same thing with fighting games.
Well, on that note, I'd like to bring in our expert, and we are so honored that he decided to or could spend a few minutes with us. One of the things that Richie Knows Invent is trying to do is bring you the top professionals in the business, the people that have incredible amounts of experience dealing not only with the issues that we all struggle with in our own personal lives, but also the focus on gamers and the issues that gamers are dealing with. Now, this man has a master's in social work, and he's a mental health crisis consultant and case manager. He's been helping people who are seriously disabled with mental health and helping them find not only treatment, care, and safety. He has extensive experience with assessing people who are seeking mental health care and treatment, and he's spent more than 15 years as an intake supervisor at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and he earned his master's degree in social work at UCLA. Please welcome Dick Stusser. Dick, how are you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm really excited to be a part of this event and the support chats. What a great opportunity for the gaming community, and I'm so excited to be a part of what you guys are doing. And whatever I can contribute that would be helpful, I'm here.
Thank you. You also work with NAMI, am I correct?
Yes, I do.
And that's the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Now, NAMI is a national organization, and you work out of the West LA branch. So this is a great place where if gamers are struggling, if they have questions, first of all, I want to say, and this blows my mind, because mental health, trying to get treatment can be so intimidating, so expensive to even find somebody that is willing to listen. And NAMI offers their services absolutely free, correct?
That is correct.
Wow. All right. Well, I have a question for you. I'm a baseball fan, and when the pandemic hit, we all knew what happened, that nobody could go to baseball games, and Major League Baseball instituted some rules changes. They said it was to speed up the game. They'd have, a guy in second base in the 10th inning, blah, blah, blah. But I was thinking about that today. They said it was to the players to limit their exposure. But I also thought, baseball's a game without a clock. And one of the wonderful things about it was that you don't know when it's going to end. And I thought maybe, unfortunately, that is a metaphor for what we're experiencing now with this pandemic. We have no idea whether we're at the beginning of it, the middle of it, the end of it, whether this is the new normal. I mean, you hear all these phrases going around, and it's, we talk about seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Do we even know where the tunnel is? Dick, how are people dealing with this right now?
Much like you just described, we're in a situation where it's so much uncertainty that it's hard to, the runner at second base in extra innings, it's something that may or may not be successful to the game of baseball. It's uncertain right now. We need to look at how that rolls out. And same thing with a lot of what's going on with the pandemic right now. We thought we were well along the way of understanding the vaccination and understanding masking and social distancing and how that could help with the pandemic. And now science seems to be expressing some uncertainty about what we thought were certain issues with the pandemic. So I think we're all in a state of flux. Many of us need a lot of certainty and routine and schedule in our lives to go forward. And it's very hard to do that, whether you're a gamer or a non-gamer or anybody else, with the all the uncertainty and anxiety around the issues with the new Delta 19 or the Delta variant and the schools and the possibility of a third vaccination. And it's like, back to first base when we've tried to work hard to find what we can do to, as individuals, collectively, as a community, as a country, to help fight the situation. So
I would think that in the gaming community, it's just underlined. It's amplified a little bit. I mean, if you think about loneliness and isolation, I mean, a lot of gamers play these games by themselves. They used to have the ability to go out and see friends. I sometimes think if you look up loneliness and isolation in the dictionary, you're going to find a gamer. How should gamers deal with this? If they, it's their community is now, you can't see people anymore. How challenging is that for people in the gaming community?
I think that's very challenging, keeping in mind that many people in the gaming community are not used to being out and seeing each other anyway. That's maybe on the one side of the continuum about gaming, is that often gamers isolate and they're not out interacting with people socially. And the other end of the continuum, where gamers integrate both their gaming and their socialization, going out to baseball games, going out to eat, going out to meet with friends, going to clubs and things. So I think it's affected most the gamers who have created a balance around being by themselves gaming, but at the same time, keeping a balance of going out and being social and interacting face to face with others. And the gamers that prefer, for whatever reason, to be isolated and to be alone, if you will, playing games, playing interactive games, and what they get from that is their fulfillment of their need to be emotionally or socially attached to others. And it's a challenge, especially in my perspective, for gamers who don't isolate and don't get lost in a dark room with the curtains closed and not a lot of fresh air and not a lot of exercise. And so we have, just like you brought up with the pandemic, we have a lot that is uncertain and a lot that we have to look at going forward, and opportunity and resources for everyone to begin to be able to be out there more, interacting face to face with other people.
Stefan, I want to ask you, I mean, how do you deal with the unknown? like Dick was saying, we like organization in our lives, and with this, the only organization is that it's more of the same. You know, you hear the talking heads on TV, and 1 minute they're saying everything's great, the next minute it's hell. How do you personally deal with this?
I just try to do my best and contribute my part. I know we're all in this together, and I think that's really important. For me, also a good way is just talking to other people, asking how they're doing, getting check-ins from my friends, and they'll also get check-ins from me. So having that support group is really good and a good way to just kind of normalize what's going on.
Stefan brought up a really good point. He said, we're all in this together, but oftentimes, if you turn on the television or listen to the radio, it doesn't seem like anybody's on the same page. Dick, how do we kind of come together when coming together doesn't, I don't know, is it moving the needle forward at all, or is it just kind of a placebo? How does that all factor into things?
I think coming together for, just back to what you're saying about every day we see different things on the TV, on the news, on the internet about what we're going through. And I think a lot of this is people respecting other people's, how other people want to deal with how other people see this situation, and not automatically being, object to masks, object to the vaccination. We have to respect each other's, what each of us do individually, not put each other down or argue or debate with each other. Respect what people decide for themselves based on the knowledge that they have and and what they want to do with their lives and in their lives. And that's going to take a lot of that's a lot of work for all of us to have respect for other people's opinions and how they want to deal with these issues as we do.
Jimmy, where have you found the strength to get through this? And each and every day you're going to wake up and it seems like we're in the same place. Where do you find your hope?
My hope comes from helping others, right? Growing up, I've always been that beacon of hope for everyone. So when it came to mentoring my college students, my high school students, or even my team, the fact that if I can touch somebody and help their day become better, that energizes me. That it gives me confidence that I'm helping. My word helps others, and then hopefully they can help spread that same energy and that same hope to others. So when it comes to gaming, everyone has their way of doing it. Some stay in the house. In the fighting game community, we were so used to seeing each other, and trying to replicate that in the digital space, whether it's through a Zoom or a Discord, or somehow getting people together on a non-normal or typical base of, oh, we're just here to play games, trying to change it up and really try to bring that role, that avenue, and giving them that ability to say, okay, these guys are keep doing what they're doing. Maybe I can do the same thing. If they're continually showing that they can bring the community forward, I can do the same, right? So it's all about leadership, right? You're only as good as the team you're leading, and that's how I get through it. Just helping others brings a lot of joy to me.
It might be the little victories that matter. Everybody seems prior to this was after the big score, the big win, and now it's the little things. I know that when the masks first came off, one thing that made me the happiest was just to be able to see somebody smile. I'd forgotten how pleasant it is and how nice it is just to give someone else a smile back. Maybe just in the smallest way, just add a little bit of, I don't know, peace or joy or kindness to somebody's life. It has a cumulative effect. If we're all just doing these little things, maybe that will help. Now, Dick, we actually have a question that just came in. Are the serious mental health issues that you're seeing today any different from the issues that you were seeing prior to the pandemic?
I don't think that the serious mental health issues that I look at and had been looking at prior to the pandemic are a lot different. I think what's a lot different is that for the last year, with people being inside and not out, that a lot of these serious mental illnesses that have manifested in homes, in closed situations where people are now starting to flow out. That now that people can come out again and we see people face to face. And I think that a lot of the stable, serious mental illnesses have gotten worse for people who have been confined in their home without the ability to utilize community resources to maintain their stability.
Well, Stefan and Jimmy, we have with us one of the top mental health professionals in the city of Los Angeles with us. If you have a question for him, Stefan, first, what would you like to ask Dick?
That's a good question. What has
Want to
worked
think about
for
it? I can
you?
go to Jimmy.
No, Dick. What has worked for you for keeping your like mental health stable and all that?
I love that because we assume that if you're a mental health professional, you have no problems. But Dick, how do you personally deal with it?
For me, I try to be grateful every day. And I get up every day and I drink a cup of tea and remind myself of 2 or 3 things that I'm grateful for. And, I'm not trying to sound lovey-dovey, but that's what really gives me the juice that I need to push through this pandemic and all the issues that we deal with. And I get so much energy from the good juice that produces that it flows. And I respect other people. I respect that there are differences. And I just try not to make things, I just like a nice, smooth, let's all get along.
Yeah.
And whatever I can contribute to that every day, that's how I get through this.
Yeah, I just want to.
And I'm not.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm the top specialist in the city of Los Angeles. I appreciate saying that.
I said one of the top. One of the top.
Yeah, there are many people that have expertise, and probably in terms of how mental health within the context of the gaming community or gamer community, has probably more expertise than me. But a question I'll throw back at you guys is, how is it for you to have issues of gamers discussed in the context of the mental health community? Does that feel stigmatized to you? Does that feel necessary? I'd like to get some feedback so I can be more expertise with this team of Vent to keep it all going,
I love this because it's, you're humble. I mean, one thing is you need to understand that you don't know everything, and you're learning, and gratitude and appreciation is so important because maybe as a species, we're getting a collective kick in the ass for our sense of entitlement. That needs to go away. But Jimmy, Dick just asked you a question.
Yeah. So I think, when it comes in the gaming space, everyone is used to just being someone else, whether that's the character they're on the screen and whatnot. And that's their way of escaping the issues that they deal with. Like for myself, when stresses are too much, what I do, I escape to a game and play that. And so one of the trends I've seen, especially on social media, is everyone, if you're not okay, say something, right? So a lot of people are encouraging others to speak up more. So it is still kind of stigmatized when you say, oh, mental health, oh, that must mean you're crazy, oh, that must mean you have something loose in your head. Like, well, that's not it, right? For me, especially depression came as a result of overworking myself, being burnt out. That's a different form. And I never spoke about it until when I hit really rock bottom. So I see a lot more openness to share those feelings, share those emotions, and let people know, hey, it's okay to talk to somebody about it to feel better. And But again, there's still that population out there on social media who say, "Oh, you got mental health issues, you're cuckoo," right? The trolls, right? The trolls that really make things worse, and it's horrible because they themselves are probably going through a mental health issue, but they're just denying it, and the way they deal with it is just being mean or projecting themselves onto others. So it's kind of kind of how we see it in the non-gaming culture. Same thing. You mentioned, you just even when mentioning the word mental, people think you're crazy. It's like, no, that's not it. That's not the thing. But at least with gamers, we're a little bit, I feel like we're more accepting that everyone's not doing well, except of course the ones who speak loudest are the trolls.
Stefan, Dick is the student, you're the teacher. What do you have to say to him?
I mean, I'd echo what Jimmy said. I think especially now, it's been something that more and more people are talking about, just because it's something we're all dealing with in the pandemic. And a lot of gamers are very social people, so being able to reach out and find help, I think it's becoming more and more accepted and understood. For my groups, we have a lot of like different places where we can go and chat. So especially with like different game developers are often under a lot of stress, doing lots of crunch or other things, sadly. So there's been a lot of support groups behind the scenes where people can just talk and unwind and vent, and it really just helps them come to understand that they're not alone. There's other people going through this, and to get ideas and feedback and things they can do to improve their own mental health.
Yeah. I want to add on top of that, if I could. So what we're seeing now is like the first step, in my opinion, to getting better, right? Because we're not there yet, but the fact that people are talking about it is a great step, right? A lot of people are good at giving advice, but the next step for us, I believe, is to become a better listener, right? We can say, "Oh yeah, you can talk to me, blah blah," but when someone talks to you, are you really hearing their story? Are you really hearing what they're telling you? So as a community in all the sub communities in the gaming world, I think our next step is to just become a better listener. And if there's ways to show people how to be more empathetic, tune into emotions, that's what we need to get to the next step.
Yeah, I think that in culture, the artists are the ones that are going to be the leaders. And the more of those people that are well known come out and talk about their own mental struggles, their own mental issues, it will, I don't want to say it will normalize it, but it'll make it, like you said, less stigmatized. It's something, maybe I'm one of those people that looks for the silver lining. And maybe with all the stuff we're going through as a society and as a world, what comes out of this is a little bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding. Sharon was on a couple of weeks ago, and she said that mental health is the last true area of discrimination and stigmatization. And, people struggle with it all the time. Maybe you're not a homeless person and you've taken that route, but maybe you're just angry all the time. You just don't know how to express it creatively or appropriately. These are all struggles that we have to overcome. And Dick, I want to ask you, before we say goodbye to you, do you have any last comments about what it is we're trying to do, or for the gamers out there, something that might give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of help?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is guys like your team that are moving forward with using things like Richie Knows Vent to provide a resource for the gaming community, if you will, to go forward with some of the things that Stefan and Jimmy brought up. You guys are really on your game. I mean, you guys have very good insight, and I really appreciate the feedback that you gave us, because I realized today when I was kind of preparing for this, I didn't really think about it. I love to sit down and play hearts on my iPad. But I realized as I was preparing for this, I often sit down and start a hearts game because I don't want to have to go in the kitchen and start the dishes or I don't want to, start doing the paperwork I need to do. And I was really impressed with you guys to understand some of the, and I say this positively, mentality of gaming in the gaming community, because that's not an area that as I said, I play hearts and I used to play Pac-Man. and come on.
It's pretty stressful.
Pac-Man getting a high score is pretty stressful.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, I really enjoyed hearing you guys, hearing feedback from you guys, and being part of this chat. And if there's anything that I can do going forward, I'm here. And NAMI West LA has received a contract from FEMA to provide support, virtual counseling, if you will. And however you feel that needs to be thrown out there to your community and people that you know, go for it.
That is amazing. I like to look at Vent not only as a virtual mental health spa, but as a funnel where people can go to, and if, we're not going to supply the answers, but we are going to tell you some directions or give you some guidance as to where you can go to get that help that you need. And Dick, your humility, your empathy, your kindness is palpable, and knowing that you're not the only one out there, that there are a lot of people, like you said, that are out there wanting to help, offering their services, is wonderful. That, for me, is a little bit of light in the tunnel.
I have one question before we head out. This is for Dick. So for all of us who are in positions of leadership where we do influence others, so I see that the one person that needs the most help is ourselves, because we're always so focused on helping others. What techniques or what things that that can help the person, like for myself, to sit back and step back and say, hey, I need help too. And it can't be always supporting everyone all the time. It's kind of, we're the ones, our worst enemies, right? We neglect ourselves a lot. So what are your thoughts on that? Like trying to step back and say, hey, look, I need help too.
Again, great insight, great question. It's something that just at some point comes to you. You realize that you have issues that you have not been dealing with yourself. They're starting to over percolate, if you will, and it's time to kind of turn down the heat a little and take care of yourself. At the same time, give the time that you need to be of service to others, like you talked about, because there's no question in my mind, being of service to others is that's the most important thing. And when you recognize that and you do it well, yes, you have to be careful that you pull back when you need to take care of yourself.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Stefan, for joining us. I want to remind everybody that we have other Vent programs that are available to watch. If you've missed any of them, they're compelling, they're interesting, they're funny, they're all of the above. They're very, very helpful. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you next week. I'm Robert Clotworthy, and as always, at the end of my show, I'd like to say, when it comes to mental health, some things are just worth fighting for. Good night.